Tell you what, the Cleveland Browns found a way to get it done. You can talk about it in a lot of different ways, but they found a way to get cap compliant, and they found a way to do it without releasing, as of yet, Nick Chubb. They found a way to do it without releasing or trading Cooper. Like, this is impressive. And right now, as it stands, they have $15 million left in cap space, and they could clear even more room. So yes, the Cleveland Browns just became players once again in free agency. And then in this video, we're going to talk about how they became players once again in free agency, and also how they could add draft capital at the same time by clearing even more room in free agency. So we're going to talk about those things in this video. But before that, if you've been watching this channel for a little while, what we do here is we have another channel. We're Lions fans. You see some of the Lions stuff behind me, but we love the NFL and we have a kinship with the Browns. So we created a channel for teams that the national media ignores. And man, oh man, we have a soft spot in our heart for the Brownies. And so we wanted to create this channel. If you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get over 12,000. Honestly, we'd love 15, but like we're trying to get over the hump of each 1,000 on the way. It's been so much fun over the last 9 months watching this channel grow. And the Browns were the biggest reason we had success early on. You guys, the fans, are awesome for the Browns. And so let's dive into this. All right. So early on, we'll talk just something that happened a little while ago, like literally a while, like 10, 11 days ago. The Browns came cap compliant, and they still could restructure deals, including Watson, blah, blah, blah. But based on this one, they restructured Denzel Ward's contract, clearing $11.5 million. So that's the one we're going to start with very quickly. Then we're going to move into another one, and then we're going to talk about, like I said, about how much money they have left and how they could even get some draft picks. So they restructured it. So this year he's due $12 million. All right. He was due about $23 million. Next year and the years after that is where you see these big hits starting to come in. So you can restructure contracts. You're still going to have to pay them. Like, that still is going to happen. So he's going to be due $24.5 million next year, $30 million the year after that, and then $27 million after that. And then you have some dead cap. You have a void year at the end of this for almost $3 million. I hate void years, but $3 million is not the worst thing in the world. So you have the potential out right here where it would cost you $20 million to save 11, or if he's still playing at a high level, you pay him that, and then your potential out is right here, that final year of his contract. So he found a way. Let's get cap compliant. Thank you so much. Good job. But they did even more yesterday by clearing another $10 million in cap space, and Jedrick Wills' fifth-year option is being converted, which means he'll be with the team. So they decided, we want this guy to be here. It was converted down the line, so they cleared $10 million, $10.44 million. In other words, what they're saying is, not only do we want to become cap compliant, we want to add money to this free agency so we can get out and get other players. This is very, very interesting because we didn't know who was going to be there. What we did know is that there were multiple tight ends on this team. 3, honestly, starting caliber tackles. There were 3 starting caliber tackles. So the question is, will all 3 stay? When you look at the injuries and the struggles you had last year, one could say yes. Also, tackles are something that is a huge need. I mean, a huge need in the NFL. So can you trade one of those tackles for a second or third or fourth round pick? I would at least look into it. So that is one way in which this team can free up some money. All right, you can free up some money. All right, when you look at your tackles, you have DeJuan Jones, you have Jack Conklin. All right, he's the senior of the bunch, and you have Jedrick Wills. If you decide you want to go forward with DeJuan Jones and Jedrick Wills, and you want to keep James Hudson here as your backup swing tackle, Conklin is now tradable. He's tradable. All right, it's doable. I'm not saying like it's exactly what you want to do, but you can absolutely trade him. Why not? And I know that he's probably your best tackle. All right. So the problem with trading him is that it is a huge dead cap and you would immediately lose all that money back. But maybe you're saving that money to do exactly that. He's not super expensive this year. And, he only cost, I'll show you the contract here. He only cost $12 million this year. And if you traded him, it would cost you 29. So that's not the guy. Next year, he's even, right? If you keep him or cut him, it's going to be about the same, and then you could get out right here in his final year. He's not that old. He's a good tackle. You can keep him around. It's fine. So how else do they save money? Well, it's interesting because there's articles all over the place that Greg Newsome is on his way out. And this is another situation where you have the same situation that you have with the tackles. Multiple GMs, based on the writing for Jason La Canfora, have said that the Cleveland Browns have made it very clear that they are open to dealing one of their top cornerbacks as they try to balance salaries after years of heavy spending. All right, right now, as you know, they have Denzel Ward. They just restructured his contract. He's staying. He's not going anywhere. They have Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, these guys are not expensive deals. Why would we trade them? In fact, Martin Emerson, as you're here, he's only owed $1.5 million this year and $1.8 million next year, or $1.7 million. All right? That's not a lot. That is not a lot. All right, when you look at Newsome, I just happen to know he's owed about $4 to $4.5 million this year, and next year you could pick up his fifth-year option. All right, both of these guys are still in their rookie contract. But when you look at Greg Newsome, it is $13.3 million is the number next year, and then you'd have to pay him. You'd have to continue to pay him if you want to keep him on the team. So Greg Newsome is the one that everybody's saying they're going to trade. The Browns are basically saying all three of these are outside cornerbacks by trade and by nature. You don't need 3 tackles when you're in a cap struggle. You don't need 3 starting tackles. You don't need 3 starting outside corners when you're in cap trouble. So by trading Greg Newsome, they're not going to save money this year. They wouldn't. But they would save $13 million next year, or because they know they don't have the money to pay him $13 million next year and they just want to go with Martin Emerson as their starting corner, then they, instead of spending $13 million and letting him go, you could get a pick this year for him. You could start getting the next players. You could start filling in the board. You need a wide receiver, and there will absolutely be starting caliber wide receivers available in the 2nd and 3rd round. So if you want to trade with a team like, I don't know, say the Lions, right, who absolutely need a corner, then and have a 2nd and 2 3rd-round picks, maybe there's a trade in there somewhere. So you can get cap compliant. If you're willing to make a deal, you can, yes, you're getting rid of a good player. That's the way it works if you want to get good trade or good value back in the draft. Then you can get a young player that's on a long contract, because that's what good teams do. They don't just continue to go to free agency. They spend their money on draft picks. They go get multiple draft picks, and that's the one thing the Browns are lacking right now. So I would not be surprised if you see a tackle be traded for a draft pick. You don't need 3.5 starting tackles. You don't need it. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a corner traded for a draft pick. It is very possible by the time the draft starts, the Browns have added 2 or 3 other picks. And that is how you start getting back to this cap compliancy, because draft picks are cheap contracts, especially when you're getting into the 2nd, 3rd, and later rounds. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't yet, like, subscribe. Who would you most want to see traded? Who could bring the most back in a trade? All that good stuff. Hope you're enjoying this. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.